So this topic's going to seem a little outdated and maybe kind of like, why is he talking about this right now? But honestly, my channel is new, and so I get to talk about things right now instead of when maybe they were relevant. But I'm hoping that you'll listen and it'll interest you because this is about a pretty big game that came out for the Switch, and that is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I want to talk about a lot of the things that I really, really, really loved about the game and a lot of the things that I really disliked about the game. Get out of my studio, dog. Yeah. She chews on things. Otherwise, I wouldn't care if she was in here. Breath of the Wild is this big. I mean, I really don't need to describe it to anybody. It's big and it's popular, and basically everybody's played it or at least seen gameplay footage of it. But it took a lot of things about the Legend of Zelda series that have kind of become staples and just threw them. My window's over here, so just throw them out the window. Just gone. We're not dealing with that in this game. And in a lot of ways, that was really, really, really good. Ever since Ocarina of Time, the series has kind of followed this formula of you get these three things, and then the game seems like maybe it's over, but then it's not over, and now you got to go collect 7 or 8 more things, and then you fight Big Bad Ganon, and now it's over. And it really worked for, I guess that actually started in A Link to the Past. It really worked in A Link to the Past, and they sort of improved on it in Ocarina of Time. And then Majora's Mask was a little bit of departure, but then you had Wind Waker and you had Twilight Princess, and sure, they don't follow that formula exactly. It's not always 3 things and then 7 things, and someone's going to point that out to me. The idea is the same, and you go to these dungeons, and it's really good, and it worked. And with Skyward Sword, I think is kind of when Nintendo was like, okay, we've been doing this way for a really long time, and it's starting to get stale. Now, Skyward Sword was a great game. I love Skyward Sword. I love the controls in Skyward Sword. Shut up, haters. The motion controls in that were good. Good motion controls are good. People just hating on motion controls just because it's motion controls is silly. Good motion controls are good. Good controls are good, no matter what it is. Skyward Sword really took it to this extreme linearity that I think just kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And so when they sat down to do Breath of the Wild, they were like, okay, we got to throw out all these old conventions. And really, Nintendo was going through needing to do that as a whole, as a company. I don't blame Nintendo for getting rid of a lot of the things that I liked about the Zelda games for Breath of the Wild, but I do think there's something to be said for maybe they went a little bit too far. And some of these things are going to sound like nitpicks, but I think, it's just, look, they're my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want to. That's what this is about. You can let me know down in the comment section. But this is what I think about it. Kakariko Village's music was, I don't know what that was. It's Kakariko Village's music has been the same, and I don't mean the same, but it's been the same theme ever since that village was introduced to the series in A Link to the Past. That's how you know, like, oh, I found Kakariko Village because here's that music. And they changed it to this weird Chinese sounding thing that almost sounded like they got it from a royalty free compilation of foreign music. I don't know. It was weird, and I didn't care for it, and I wish that they would have just made a new version of Kakariko Village. I know that's going to sound like you just want more of the same, and yeah, I'm an old fart. Maybe that's what this channel is going to turn into, is me complaining about how things were better in the good old days. But you know what? Whatever. I was going to try and get like girl combative with you there for a minute there, and I don't know why, because I don't want to be combative with people. I want to have a conversation with people, so forgive me for that. That was weird. I need to dial that back. Dungeons are what made the Zelda series famous. There's these big, long puzzles that you have to go through. And look, I totally understand why they went with the smaller shrines. The Switch, and yeah, this game came out on Wii U, but let's be real here. This game was meant for the Switch. It's kind of strange. Like, Twilight Princess was supposed to come out. It was going to be a GameCube exclusive, and then it got ported to the Wii. And it was clear that this was a GameCube game that they just upported to the Wii. But Breath of the Wild definitely feels like a game. Breath of the Wild definitely feels like a game that was designed for the Switch and just came out for the Wii U because Nintendo promised that the game was going to come out for the Wii U. But with the shrines, they really made it so that it was able to be played in short bursts. A game like Ocarina of Time or a game like Twilight Princess or Wind Waker, you'd have never been able to play that in short bursts because once you get into a dungeon, you're committed to this dungeon for the next 30 minutes to an hour. That's just the way it is. Whereas a shrine, I mean, yeah, you may struggle getting through the shrine and maybe it will take you 30 minutes because you just, for whatever reason, you're just not getting the puzzle. If you go in there and you go, oh, like, I know what I need to do. I need to push this boulder down here and make it hit the switch on. You can be done with pretty much every shrine in that game in 5 minutes. That's important for the experience of the Switch, of being able to jump into these games and get out of them. It's why Mario Odyssey has hundreds of moons just everywhere, and you aren't taken out of the world that you're in and brought back to the beginning like you are in Super Mario 64. You collect a moon, you go to the next one. That way, if you want to sit down and collect 20, 30, 100 of them all at once, you can. But if you've only got time for 2 or 3, you can do that too, and it's real easy to do. So that's why the shrines are the way that they are. But I miss the dungeons. I miss going into the Eastern Palace knowing I'm going to be here for a while, and I've got to find these keys, and I got to hit these switches, and I got to find the special item, and I got to figure out where to lay this bomb or where to shoot this arrow, and that's, I miss that about the Zelda series. I get why they did it in Breath of the Wild, but I hope that they go back to that. That complaint seems like a really valid complaint versus I didn't like the music in Kakariko Village. I should have started with this one. This was good. A lot of people are going to have heard that Kakariko Village thing and gone, this guy's just going to sit here and complain about the music. I ain't watching that. No, I'm sorry. It's just I don't plan these things out. I just go. The breakable weapons. I can't stand the breakable weapons in this game. I do not think that they call them a durability system. And Jim Sterling of the Jimquisition, which I'm actually going to link to this video up here, he refers to it as a fragility system, whereas developers, they call it a durability system. And, I mean, he's right. What happens is you go pick up these swords, and these things are so brittle. And yeah, it's to force the player to have to use different kinds of weapons and adapt to different situations. Jim Sterling, he summed it up really good. He said all it really does is make it so that when I go through a really difficult part of the game and my prize or my reward for getting to the end of it is this weapon, I don't want to use the weapon anymore because I'm afraid that it will break and that I might need it somewhere. What I wind up doing instead is just carrying around 15 bokoblin clubs and just burning through those because those things are everywhere. It's nothing to go find one of those, but I get that really cool flame sword and I'm terrified to use it because what if I'm up in the snowy mountains and instead of wearing the warm clothes, I just want to put the sword on my back and keep myself warm or melt ice, things like that, instead of using my fire arrows. That's what this system does, is it just makes me hoard weapons that I'm never actually going to use. And maybe that's a problem with me. Yeah, I'm the guy who in Chrono Trigger, every time I get an elixir, I'm like, well, I can't use it because I might need it later, even though when I need it might be right now. Yeah, I'm a digital hoarder. That's what I do. Because I am that way, it means that when I get these new weapons that I just don't want to use them because I'm afraid that I'm not gonna have it when I need it. I think the option should have been and could have been there for both of these things to exist, because when I found where the Master Sword was, I went, okay, what do I got to do to get the Master Sword? Because surely that thing doesn't break. That was my goal. Get the Master Sword. And you know what? The Master Sword, not the strongest weapon in the game. Probably is the strongest weapon against the Guardians because it has a stat boost against certain enemies. It's not the strongest item in the game. So, I would be, in the stats area, I would be crippling myself by using nothing but the Master Sword. But I would be able to have this thing because it doesn't break. And that's the way I want to play the game. And wouldn't you know it, the Master Sword breaks. And it's ridiculous. And it doesn't break. You have to let it cool down and recharge its energy. So it's not like you have to go find another one or take it somewhere and get it repaired like you do. So there's actually other weapons in the game that are given to you that are like were from the other champions. and they break, but you have to go craft things and find crafting materials to get it rebuilt. And it's just, I don't want to play like that. I don't want to play like that. All it does is limit how I play this game in a game that is supposedly designed to allow me to be limitless. There are no limits. I can go as high as I want to. I can go as low as I want to. I can go anywhere. The game is supposed to be limitless, and yet here's this thing that is limiting me. And there's no way to get past that limit. The Master Sword could have been, you can get rid of this limit, but they didn't do that, and I think it was just a poor design decision. Now, Nintendo's new at this. This is the first time they've ever done a game like this. They looked at games like The Elder Scrolls and other, popular survival games and thought, well, these do well and they're popular, so let's implement this into our game. And it's not fun. I hope that in the next Zelda game, if they do revisit this Breath of the Wild formula, and I think that they're going to, and I think that they should, that they get rid of the durability system with the weapons and the shields. It's not something that I enjoy. There are other things that I miss about the series that are more callbacks, kind of like when I complained early in the beginning of the video about Kakariko Village. I kind of miss that Link, that the hero would wear the green tunic. Yes, you can unlock the green tunic in the game. That's his thing. It's Link. It's supposed to be a tradition. The battle with Ganon at the end, Calamity Ganon, is just not that great. And this completely open world that they've created, I do believe contributed to that. When you have a game that allows you to basically right from the beginning run to the boss and go fight him, you've got to be able to play that part of the game at any point. I'm not talking about the difficulty of the boss fight. The difficulty wasn't very high, and that certainly was something that bothered me. What I'm getting at here is that the fight just wasn't very inspiring. It wasn't, unique. It wasn't this big epic battle like it has been in previous Zelda games. And part of the reason for that is because there's this build up to who Ganon is and what Ganon is and what he's been doing that just doesn't exist in Breath of the Wild, because there's a very good possibility that you have skipped significant portions of the story of the game to get all the way to the end. The direction that Nintendo went with Breath of the Wild, I think it was a much needed direction. I'm happy that they decided to experiment and to see what tropes of Zelda can we shed while adopting some newer, more exciting things. And they did innovate in a lot of ways. People complained that the towers are just the Ubisoft towers and you go up to the top and now you have all this stuff. And I think those people are way oversimplifying it. Yes, you're climbing to the top of a tower, but you're not climbing to the top of a tower so that the map will just populate all this stuff. You're climbing to the top of the tower because you need a vantage point. You need to be able to see what's out there so that you can create on your map what you want to create. I love how they changed that, and they even changed it into such a successful degree that Ubisoft themselves adopted a very similar thing in Far Cry 5. I haven't played Far Cry 5. This is just something I'm hearing, so if I'm a little off on that, please forgive me, but I have been told that that's what they did. That is neat and cool and exciting to me, and I think they should continue with that by making it completely open like they did, and by making it so you can go do whatever you want whenever you want. The story that Zelda has been attached to for so long suffered, and I don't mean the same story of find these 3 things, find these 7 things, go save Hyrule. I'm talking about the meaningful relationships that you develop with the characters that are in Hyrule, because you can have that character development. Those things suffered because Nintendo went with this completely open direction. The weapons breaking and the having to craft dinners and stuff like that, that's all stuff that I wasn't crazy about, but I could live with it. I do want to see Nintendo kind of take what worked about Breath of the Wild and then what worked about the old formula and mesh it together. And I really think whatever the next Zelda game is going to be. I think it's going to be amazing. I think they're going to learn a lot. Nintendo has really shown that they're able to learn and adapt. They've been showing that a lot lately. The Switch is proof of that. Mario Odyssey is proof of that. I think Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be the ultimate sign that Nintendo is listening to its player base. So I'm excited for the future of The Legend of Zelda. But those are just some things about Breath of the Wild that I kind of wanted to get off my chest. I do believe the game deserved every single 10 out of 10 that it got. Hands down, that game was a masterpiece. It deserved every perfect score that it got. Every 7 out of 10 that it got, which I realized wasn't very many, it deserved that too. It's not the greatest game ever made. It's not even the greatest Zelda game ever made. It is a great, masterful game. Those are my thoughts on it. Anyway, if you disliked the video, give it a thumbs down. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon, and we'll see you around in the next video. Love you guys.